All right. I believe that we are live. If you guys can see and hear us, uh, let us know in the chat. Hello. Okay, Mohammed, the first one. Good to see you again. For those who are joining us, my name is Jordan Clark. I am the Integrated Marketing Manager at Skill Crush. I am joined by the icon, the legend, my friend, Regina Gwynn, co founder of Black Women Talk Tech, who will be talking to us about her journey from fashion retail to helping entrepreneurs build billion-dollar businesses via Black Women Talk Tech. You might have seen her from Essence Magazine's top 10 women in tech, Entrepreneur Magazine's top 100 most powerful women in tech, Afro Tech, Refinery 29, Forbes. She was even on Sway's Universe. I was watching that, and he even said that Regina has the answers. So this is
Ah!
extremely exciting. For those who have been reading our emails, this webinar falls in the midst of our Black History Month celebrations with Women's History Month right around the corner. And, when you're thinking about tech, I totally understand the stats and how you can feel, discouraged by looking at them. But in a field seeking innovation and seeking diverse perspectives, your lived experience gives you a unique advantage in a career change. And Regina is going to be a great person to talk to and ask questions. For those who don't know Skill Crush, we are a woman-owned independent coding and design school founded in 2012 that focuses primarily on providing self-paced career immersion training programs for jobs in tech. And we are on a mission to support career changers, particularly those marginalized by gender, race, and age, with the tech skills needed to land higher earning, more fulfilling careers in tech. And it's our most core belief that tech is for everyone. And so, yes, that means you. So that was a lot. I know. Thank you guys for sticking it out with me. Just a little bit more housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions at all, there's the Ask a Question tool at the bottom of your screen, or you can use the chat. I'll be keeping an eye out, and we'll save some time at the end for Q&A. And yeah, so as a quick icebreaker, let us know in the chat where you're calling in from. I'm in Brooklyn, New York. Regina, how about yourself?
I too am in Brooklyn, New York City.
I know we are neighbors. Perfect.
Yes.
And I see that, we got Pacific Northwest, Portland, Oregon, Canada, Minnesota, London, Hawaii. Oh, beautiful. Okay, awesome. We have tons of different locations here. I'm trying to see if we can get all around the world. Well, while you guys drop that in the chat, I'll give a brief bio about Regina, and then we'll launch right into it. So, for those joining us, Regina is the co-founder of Black Women Talk Tech, an organization that aims to identify, support, and encourage Black women to build the next billion-dollar business. Black Women Talk Tech is the largest collective of Black women tech founders, therefore bringing a unique understanding of the challenges Black women face and the advantages that they bring to the industry. Regina launched her first tech startup in 2014 with Trey Noir, a platform that empowers women of color to celebrate their texturized hair with a personalized beauty routine that works. She is also the co-founder of Roadmap to Billions conference, built from the perspective of women with the goal of showcasing the brilliance of Black women in tech, creating a stage for the experiences, fostering deeper connections, and creating real funding opportunities. Fun fact, she loves to travel, dance, and watch football, and is an avid Giants fan. Is that all accurate, Regina?
That is very accurate. The Giants are bums right now, but that's okay. I'm still a Giants fan.
Are you like a particular type of dance person, or you just go to like the parties and tear it up?
Just
Yeah, you
when my
just
knee was good, I used to tear it up, and yes,
yeah,
definitely loved all types of dance. Took dance for
perfect.
several years.
Exactly. So you are not only an icon, super successful entrepreneur, but you are also a dancer, and we will tear up the dance floor one day soon.
Sounds good.
Was there anything else in the introduction that you wanted to add? All right,
No, we're good.
cool. Well then, obviously, we spoke in the green room, but I am honored to be speaking with you. You are extremely knowledgeable, successful, and inspirational, and uplifting other Black women into creating billion-dollar businesses. And there are so many stories and narratives that the mainstream doesn't tell us because, obviously you are out here getting it. There are hundreds of Black women out here getting it. And what I'm hoping today is to gather some insight on how you got here. Our audience knows a little bit that you pivoted from fashion retail, so we'll dive all into that and the lessons you learned. So let's start. I mean, if you could, where were you before going into tech?
Yes. All right. So, as you mentioned, Jordan, well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. Happy to talk about any and everything. Super excited about the work that Skill Crush is doing. Happy Black History Month to all. Started my career in fashion retail, as you mentioned. So I grew up as most girls, with a closet full of clothes, and was like, how can I play with clothes for a living? And this was being a country girl in Durham, North Carolina. Decided to start my journey with coming up north to go to school. So started off at FIT actually, and transferred to Rutgers University in New Jersey when I graduated. But I was able to get an internship at Macy's in their merchandising group. So their corporate merchandising arm helps with their private label brands, designing, merchandising, like the whole nine. Woohoo, Greensboro. And so, I got my internship there, got an offer, and spent the first part of my career at Macy's merchandising group. From there, went to business school, because I wanted more of a strategic and analytic rigor to how I was coming up with my marketing strategies, coming up with different marketing programs that I had the honor of working on at Macy's. I launched Inc. International Concepts, which is a menswear brand that's still on the sales floor to this day. American Rag is a juniors brand that's on the sales floor. So I'm dating myself, but I was a part of those launch campaigns. So one of the things that I learned early on is using other people's money to be an intrapreneur, if you will. And really owning, the brand story for those products. So then what did I do? So I went to business school, met these folks called management consultants. I was like, wow, you all are really smart. I had never heard of management consulting before, like Deloitte and Bain and Company and BCG and like McKinsey, like never heard of these companies like before, and thought I was connected, and clearly I wasn't. So I ended up in management consulting after grad school, and missed fashion really bad. Hated this honestly and truly, hated this corporate environment of consulting, and really wanted to get back to products and people. So ended up back in the retail space, heading up the marketing department of a small apparel company that does shirts, does women's wear for Nordstrom. And so even though I'm there, I'm still thinking about entrepreneurship. I'm still thinking about running my own business. My dad was an entrepreneur. His dad was an entrepreneur. And so the idea of running a company was something that I was very thankful and blessed to grow up with. At the table, I would hear about my dad talk about his day and what accounts he was able to win, or the account that he lost, or learning about the office space, or the warehouse that he was moving, his company was moving into. And so I knew I wanted to run something, but I didn't know what. Had no idea. I didn't really want to start a fashion brand. Didn't want to just like sell products per se, but I knew that I wanted something interesting, and something that I also knew intimately, a problem that I knew intimately, and that was hair. So I have not had a chemical relaxer in my hair since high school. And so I've been able to watch this natural hair movement kind of unfold in front of our eyes within the 2000s and the 2010s, and now we're into the 2020s. And so this idea of leveraging on-demand technologies that had started to emerge with Uber, with Fresh Direct, you push a button and something comes to you, right? You push a button, your car comes to you. You press a button, your groceries come to you. Well, why not have you press a button and a stylist comes to you, a hairstylist that is knowledgeable about your hair care and understands your curl pattern. There were other services out in the market that were focused on blowouts or focused on, getting highlights or something like that. But there really wasn't anything in the market focused on the multicultural market and for curly girls. And so I launched Tresse Noir, which it means black hair en français. And that was in 2014. And so that was really my foray into tech, because we were actually building the first on-demand, on-location beauty booking platform for women of color. And me saying, okay, I went to business school, I've got all this stuff. Yeah. None of that even remotely helped. I won't say remotely, like it helped, but one would think that you would have your stuff together when
Right.
you've been in corporate America and you've got your business school degree and blah blah blah. Like the
Right.
tech industry was completely foreign. Like I didn't know what a tech stack was. I didn't know what different coding languages were. We got taken. The first developer that we worked with created the worst, jankiest website ever. We spent so much money on stuff that we shouldn't have, but nevertheless, that was
prevailed.
Long story short, that was what got me here. And then once I was here, that's really when all of the challenges were made really plain around getting access to funding, access to the right developers, access to the right CTOs, the UX UI. It was really an eye opener, to be sure. But also recognizing that if I was having this problem, I'm sure other people were having the same problem. And that was the impetus behind creating Black Women Talk Tech, because we said, okay. And so myself and my other co-founders, we were all founders ourselves of tech startups. And so, this idea where, you could just poof and create a $1 billion business. That's not the case. And we weren't interested in the bro culture that oftentimes you have to kind of, play into in order to get that access. So we said, if we're not getting a seat at the table, let's create our own. And so here we are 7 years later. Wow.
Well, what's inspirational about that story was that you were talking about how all of that prior experience, you didn't have a background in tech, but obviously you're super successful. And mind you, I have a criminal justice degree and I work in marketing, and I feel like all the best career changers and all the most successful people have just some very different educational experience or prior experience. And it's when you have a dream, obviously you can pursue it with ambition. And I guess what was the defining moment where you finally decided to commit yourself 100% to tech?
That's a good question. So, okay. So when I was working, I had to remember this. So I was working on 7th Avenue in New York City in the fashion district. Was heading up this marketing department of this company, and I had started Tresse Noir on the side, right? So it was my side hustle. I was taking meetings in the stock room with mannequins all around me. It was like stacks of fabric, and I'm in the back trying to do a deal with the stylist, and I'm trying to work on the change the website, and the app isn't working, and we're getting orders, and I was in the stock room
it's time for something to change.
This ain't gonna work. This right here is not gonna work. And I had to think about it in terms of financially, can I afford to leave, to leave my my company in the very beginning? The answer was no, to be sure. But what I also realized is, just the power of the side hustle. I was able to get some consulting work. I also have real estate. I had other projects that allowed me to keep the bills paid while deciding to focus on Trust Noir full time. So this is not something that I can say will work for everyone, for sure. Taking that leap to work on your business full time, you need to have a way to make, keep the lights on and keep a roof over your head. So I'm not going to sit here and say, just leave and hope for the best. Like there needs to be
a plan.
I'm not going to be that person that's like, oh, because we also don't have friends and family rounds. We don't have the availability for friends and family rounds, which is technically supposed to pay for your upkeep while you're focused on your business. So, it's not to say that couldn't happen and that it shouldn't happen, is that it doesn't happen because, we don't get the access to the funding in the way that oftentimes our other counterparts do.
Yeah. And I think you brought an interesting point that like your journey isn't for everyone. But I think like one of my favorite things about tech, and like I've talked to so many students about, is like the flexibility that like the industry has, because like I feel like once it clicks that every company is a tech company, you're like, wait a minute. So like I could just go to anywhere and like have a valuable skill. And like it's so like that's my favorite thing of all time with like tech and working in it.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's so interesting. There's, within Black Women Talk Tech, we work with tons of corporate partners, but it's not just the Microsoft and the Googles of the world. It's Walmart, it's JP Morgan Chase, it's Goldman Sachs. Like, a lot of financial companies have huge technical needs to do all their transactions, the cybersecurity aspect. And, I know this is Skill Crush, but, you don't necessarily need to learn how to code to be in tech either.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think you need to know enough to be dangerous for sure. And that's something me as a non-technical founder has learned the hard way. What is Ruby on Rails? What is Python? What is a LAMP stack? What are these different languages? You really do need to know that. And having that coding background is absolutely a plus. But tech can be found in every aspect of our lives, from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep.
Yep.
So, every single company has some level of tech that needs support and that needs to be serviced. So, the world is your oyster when you have that capability and that skill set. And, I have, like I said, I have found that being able to translate that has also been a value for me.
Yeah. I mean, you said so many great things. Obviously my brain malfunctioned. I didn't even know where to start, but like you said something that was extremely powerful, where like tech isn't just coding, which I think is like needs to be said, because I think, when I thought about tech many years ago, I was like, I thought math, computers, and Silicon Valley tech bros. And like the more I dive into it, I'm like, oh, it's like not that at all. And you can make it what you want it to be, and there's tons of different people out here in the field doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess like you talked a lot about having to learn the languages and not coming from the tech space. So when you first started out in tech, and even now, I guess, like how much of your learning has been on the job versus kind of like having to like go through some trainings or certifications or whatever, have it?
I would say the majority of it has been on the job. I have to say, I wish if I were to do it again, if I were to start again, I probably would have taken some kind of coding class, even like coding for dummies, just something that exposed me to. So I wish I could have learned about coding in a class versus it being on the job. I think that I have learned on the job, but would have preferred knowing some of the language up front end versus back end, full stack, like
Yeah.
even especially for entrepreneurs that are trying to build their technical team, right? Like you can even, we have founders in our community that are engineers, that are computer engineers, and they're the CTO, and they still need help, right? Like they still need people on their teams. So they may have a bit more of a grasp of the language, but needing to understand what kind of person do you need at what point in time, right?
Yeah.
So for us for Tres Noir, we were building an app, but did we need a full app, or could we have just gotten away with a wraparound, which is actually what we ended up doing, was just having a computer application that allowed you to have mobile access. And making our website super web enabled and interactive, so that it could be used, that it could be used easily on any device. And then eventually, we were going to create like a full standalone app, but just knowing where you were in this early stage of your startup, not wanting to jump ahead 15 steps, because to build a full-fledged app would have been much more expensive than what we ended up with. And we started with a landing page. That's all we had, was a landing page with a website and an email saying, hey, do you want a stylist to come to your house? Email us. So that was it. And then the phone started ringing and the email started coming through. So then we started to get a little bit more sophisticated over time, and started to expand our market. But I think that the importance of coding is critical. I can't say that having because eventually you're going to get the education on the job or not. But regardless, you're going to still, in tech, you're going to need to touch it at some point in time, whether that's sales. Tech sales is amazing. You can make a lot of money in the sales department of a tech company, and no technical experience is a prerequisite. Product development, I think I mentioned before, UX, UI, project management. So there's a ton of different jobs that are available for those that don't necessarily have either an actual undergraduate degree or again, some of these different coding schools.
Yeah, you can. If you are interested in going to tech, there's a 99.9% chance that there's like a role out there that fits like your interest. And the more I talk to you, I know we talked in the green room, and now like you just seem so comfortable with taking risk. It's something that like I aspire to be like. I think that entrepreneurship and your journey is very similar to what a lot of our students are experiencing, where starting a business, making a career change, you're taking a risk. Like you're going into the unknown, you're going to make mistakes, you might face some rejection, it's going to be uncomfortable. So what advice do you have for those looking to take that plunge? Like, how have you worked through these moments where you're like, should I or should I not?
Yeah, that's a great question. The idea of risk is an interesting construct, right? Because I went to business school during the recession in 2008, 2009, where banks were closing left and right. Folks did not have jobs. And so the idea of job security is one that I've always looked at, and kind of scratched my head, because, since I don't know 2000s, since even the 90s and into the 2000s, the idea of job security is very different than what like our parents and their parents grew up with. No, I don't know of anyone, and again, it could just be me, but there's very few jobs that you can get and stay for 10 and 15 and 20 years anymore. So literally just because the job is not there anymore, not to say that you wanted to stay and you just did whatever, but the idea of, like I said, the idea of job security is one that I think we have to, just be aware that it's constantly changing. The idea of it is constantly changing. Right now, you're seeing a lot of layoffs within tech. Tech is softening a little bit. Google, Meta, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Salesforce, quite a few companies have announced layoffs, and yet there's plenty of other companies that are still hiring. So, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's all, we're heading into this crazy recession. But I think the idea of your individual financial freedom, that is the thing that for me is more important than any individual job. I like to look at my entire body of work, if you will, as a way for me to work from home. As you can see, I have a little bit of a mess in behind me, but the flexibility that you have in being able to work from home, set your own hours, set your own time, make as much or as little money as you'd like, is completely up to you. And so I think it's important to understand that value and how that balances against whatever job that you choose.
Yeah, and I think that we've been talking a lot about tech layoffs, and it's interesting working at a coding and design school because I think a lot of people have the misconception that tech layoffs means every job, and it's no,
Right.
these big name companies like you said, Meta, Google, they have their own set of issues, but every company is a tech company, and they are still actively hiring, and
Yes.
it's such a flexible, once you have the skills, I know
Translate them.
I got a homeboy that got about he freelances and he got about 7 jobs, all freelancing. And I'm like, hold on, let me go ahead and figure out how to
Right.
design this page real quick because I am jealous.
Right. And also you got to think about these tech layoffs is 3% of their workforce, 2% of their workforce. So you hear the numbers and you're like, oh my God, it's 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's still, honestly and truly, it's still a rounding error. It's just, there was duplication somewhere. Some process got streamlined, but it makes the news because it's a tech company, and tech is and will continue to be an industry of focus. It is the industry of the future. The top 5 trillion-dollar companies are tech companies. So NVIDIA, Meta, Google, Microsoft, and I can't remember the 5th one, but you don't see General Motors. You don't see Walmart. You don't even see Walmart. Walmart is a multi-billion-dollar company. They're not a trillion-dollar company. And so, when we are thinking about, what industry do you want to put a risk in? What industry do you want to place your bets on? I would say tech is the industry to do it.
You took now hold on. I gotta throw out my notes because you took literally my next question was gonna be why take the risk? Why now? You know what I'm saying? But it's not a risk because it's literally the wave of the future.
Yeah. People think that, let me work in medical billing or something. I don't know, but those jobs are just not there's no job that you can take and just be let me relax and chill. There's really in this economy and in this country, there's just a lot of movement. And so, I definitely have found that, whatever my next gig is, who knows what I'll be doing 5 years from now, but whatever it is, there'll be a tech element to it.
Well, we'll definitely be hearing about it because you are everywhere. I did a Google search of your name, and the entire first Google page was full. The next couple of pages, I was full. So I'm excited to see what's next. And it's so funny because it makes me think of our grandparents. My grandfather worked in South Carolina with the post office for 30 years, and he made good money, a house. And his wife was a teacher, but teachers. I was and so when I was getting into the workforce, changing jobs and things, which is hard to explain. I was look, it's not, it's just not the same.
Not the same. It's not the same. We don't have the same benefits. We don't have the same pension plans. We don't have the same, values, culture. There's lots of different things that have changed over the years. And, it's not to say that tech is doesn't have its cons, right? It doesn't have,
Right.
it definitely has its pros, but getting a job is very different than keeping a job. So, the challenge I have with a lot of even our corporate partners and just in general is there's a lot of focus on recruiting tech talent, but there's not as much of a focus on maintaining and retaining that tech talent, making sure that these environments are not that they need to be inviting, but they need to be supportive of all different walks of life, all different perspectives, and the value that's created when you have diverse teams. And so, it's great to get a job, great. And if you want to stay, great, that's awesome. But in terms of staying in an environment that you can thrive in, as well as get promoted into leadership in an environment that you can thrive in, I think that's the next conversation that we definitely need to make sure that that's had.
Yeah, I mean, we are vibing right now because every question that I have, you are like 2-3 steps ahead of them, because I definitely want to dive into like, okay, well, obviously the issue of diversity, underrepresentation in tech is inextricably connected to a long-standing societal issues in our country. And like, you are not only Black, you are a Black woman, which has it has a lot that comes with it. You are, a mother, a sister, a parent, family, friends. You have a lot of different roles, and there's a lot of barriers in the industry. And obviously, like for me, and I know for you, we were talking before, like it's a beautiful beautiful thing to be Black. Like we walk into a room and our presence is known. And I think not if you're coming from an underrepresented community in tech, like sometimes when you don't see your reflection, it can cause a little bit of hesitation, like a lack of confidence with any industry, honestly. So as we're talking about empowerment in regards to like owning our identity, what's your advice for others who might be hesitant to pursue tech because they don't fit the mold? Sorry, it's a loaded question, I know.
Reluctant to go into tech because they don't fit the mold.
Yeah.
I think there definitely has to be, I believe, so I guess I look at it like this. Oh gosh, I'm trying to put this in the right words. I believe that everyone is on this earth for a particular reason, right? And that your perspective, your product, your idea needs to come to market because it's going to help someone out there. And only your idea, only your approach, only your perspective is the one that matters to a particular market. And so I think that when someone downplays that idea, they're shutting out a piece of a market that could have been realized. And let's also take it another step back. Companies want to make money. Okay.
Yep.
Who in the chat likes money? Put your hand up. Okay. I like money. I put both my hands up.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you want to make money, and if you and companies want to make money, it would behoove them to find the interesting, innovative, out of the box, unorthodox ideas that can allow them to make money. Right. Hey, right. So look at it as I am making myself money by making my company money.
Yeah.
And the more money you make a company, the more valuable you are. So the idea of coming to the table, even though you may not look a certain way, you may not act a certain way, your hair might look a different way, it might be a different color, whatever. Like, can you make some money? Yes or no? Because the money is green, and that is what your bonus is based off of. Your performance reviews are based off of. And so performance has to be at the core, and then you're adding on some of the things that we talked about before with, like, having an environment that allows you to thrive, getting rid of microaggressions, particularly for women and women of color, being able to advocate for yourself and have others advocate for you. That is the environment that allows you to thrive and grow, but that's also based off of the fact that you're doing good work, right?
Yeah.
So, you have to come to the table knowing your stuff, and then you can build off from there. But it comes down to, if you believe that your ideas and your perspective will make somebody money, you should do what you need to do.
And it's the big ideas that rule the day. And like, I think that finally people are figuring out that like diverse perspectives and like diverse schools of thought and backgrounds are like what's bringing in these big ideas, and that's how people are winning and making a bunch of money for their company. So
Yeah.
Speaking of companies, I do want to get into probably what you're most well known for next to Roadmap to Billions, which we will get into, which is Black Women Talk Tech. So I guess we kind of stopped around Trade Noir. We mentioned Black Women Talk Tech, but now let's talk about it. In what ways did like your experience as a tech entrepreneur inspire you to launch Black Women Talk Tech next to Asosa, I guess?
Yes, for sure. So I was, building Trust Noir. We were going into accelerators. We did the Backstage Capital Accelerator. We did the Google for Startups, Black Exchange program. We're out here, we're doing all this stuff, we're networking, we're talking to people, we're getting money, blah, blah, blah. And yet, it still wasn't enough, like just being able to confidently build traction, scale the business, be able to move to the next step required a whole new set of networks and a whole new set of support that just was not being seen and being realized by not only myself, but by Asosa Igudero, one of my co-founders, and Lauren Washington, one of my other co-founders. And so we did not know each other from Adam. We just happened to be sitting around at a conference one day, and we were like, "Are you having the same problem?" And Asosa's like, "Yeah, I'm having the same problem." And we were like, "Are you having the same problem?" "Yeah, I'm having the same problem." Well, what? We're working on completely different startups. I'm in beauty. Asosa's doing social imaging. Lauren's doing marketing analytics, like completely different businesses, exact same problems.
Yeah.
Exact same problems. So that was really what made us realize, like, okay, if we're having these problems, we wondered if other people were having the same issues. So we said, let's test. Like we're a startup. We'll do some testing. Let's do our first conference. This is back in 2017. We reserved one room at Google's headquarters, and we put out an email like 2 weeks ahead of time. We hope we'd get 50 or 60 people to fill the conference room, and we had 300 RSVPs. We were like,
hold up, we need a bigger room.
We were like, oh Lord, Google was mad at us, a fire hazard. It was a mess. It was a mess. But it showed us that there was true demand for this kind of content and connection and support. And so fast forward, 7 years later, we went from a room that had, we fit in probably like 100 and something, to over, 1,500 entrepreneurs and technologists and investors now come to our 2-day conference. It spans, not only entrepreneurship, but the investor community, emerging fund managers, those in VC can also come and talk about challenges that they're experiencing while connecting with potential deal flow with our other founders. And so, it grows every year. Every year, I'm like, what are we doing? I never thought I'd be running a conference, and never thought I would be creating this community. But I think the pandemic showed us that that things can change in the blink of an eye.
Right.
The murder of George Floyd showed us that how far we are from achieving some of the goals that we have here as a community around just building generational wealth. And so Black Women Talk Tech is here to build generational wealth for our community, and doing that through entrepreneurship, as well as those who want to work for a startup, those who want to work for a tech company. So yeah, I think I answered your question, but like long story short, I think Trust Noir and that experience was directly related to and put me in the room where I met the co-founders for Black Women Talk Tech, and then we took it from there.
And then so now you are in your 7th year launching the conference, which for those who are new to Black Women Talk Tech, this is the Roadmap to Billions conference. It is amazing. You have to check it out. I'll drop it in the chat in a few. But Regina, like for those who might be considering purchasing tickets this year, like what do you want people to walk away? Like what type of impact do you want Roadmap to Billions to have?
I want you to move the needle on your business. I want you to move the needle on getting a job. I want you to move the needle on meeting an investor. I want you to come away with something. You know, we as founders, we recognize how valuable everyone's time is. So to take 2 days out of a work week to go to a conference is a lot. So you should come away with something. You know, we've had founders get their first investment, you know, their first seed money in, and email us saying, thank you, you know, an investor I met at Roadmap to Billions, you know, cut a check for $50,000. Our corporate partners want to meet people to hire. We had Bank of America last year hire several people. We had, not Goldman Sachs. JP Morgan Chase came out and hired people. So, you know, the way our conference is set up this year, we have the first day is private lunches and dinners. So those are invite only. But then the second day is open to everyone. And then the third day is our career fair. So, so if you are specifically, you know, in the job search, please, you can come to all 3 days, but particularly day 3 from 10 to 4, I think it is, or maybe even 11 to 4. It's a little bit of an abbreviated day, but it's solely focused on recruiting. For those that are interested in learning how to ace your technical interview, we'll have sessions and training around that. You'll be able to meet and talk to as many, you know, folks that are actively recruiting for jobs, and they want to meet you. Like hands down, they're like, how many people can you bring? You know, can they come with the resume? Can we interview them on the spot? Like, yes, you know, be prepared to get a job. Like, come away with getting a job if that's your goal.
Look, this conference sounds incredible. Like I was reading about it online, and I will tell, like, beyond just being extremely beneficial, like getting your tech startup off the ground to be able to network, there's this piece of it that I really wanted to ask you about, which is around self-care, which, like, okay, I'll read to you what I read, and you can let me know your response. A common theme at Roadmap to Billionaire has been the importance of self-care and having fun. Not only was this part of the actual conference through a beauty bar, Nike dance therapy class, sessions about dating and mental health, it was part of the panelists' formula for growth and longevity. Now, I'm mad that I missed this, Nike dance therapy class, because it sounds lit. But for you, how do you practice self-care, and like, how has it benefited your career? Because obviously you're busy.
Yeah, no. So I do see some questions in the chat. It is, unfortunately, it is in person only. We had a live stream last year as we were transitioning out of the pandemic. This year it will be, you know, in person only. So do make sure you can come to Brooklyn, New York. It will be May 18th through the 20th at Brooklyn Navy Yard. So there's that. But okay, so self-care, critical. As an entrepreneur, no one is working on your idea but you, right? Like, you're the one that came up with it. So it's kind of like, you know, it's your baby, and yeah. you're so very passionate and focused and intent on making it happen. You can lose yourself very easily. You can definitely get stressed out with all the no's, all of the no's, and all the rejection that you will endure, you know, experience in building the company. So the idea of self-care is very, very important. For me personally, I am a huge spa goer. I will tell you, I hit the spa probably once a month. Yeah. I'm on somebody's massage table at least once a month, because child, that is the way I like to distress.
Yeah.
And we do incorporate a lot of self-care at the conference. We do have a beauty bar, a beauty lounge. Last year we had this really cool tech, it was like a 3D printer nail art. And you could have like this Bluetooth thing, chip put on your nail. And, so we add in, the kind of beauty tech elements, while also, allowing you to kind of just take a break from being on all the time with all the networking and recruiting. So we have gone to so many conferences. We know the drill, and so we're very intentional on designing a place where you can kind of get away and just like close your eyes and take a quick beat before kind of jumping back into the fray. We've had like sound baths. We've done we've had massage chairs there and had masseuses on hand doing 10 to 15-minute massages. So we will continue that trend coming into 2023. And yeah, just the mental health, the mental fortitude that you need to be in this business is not for the weak. So knowing that and preparing your mind, body, and spirit for the journey is very important, because burnout is real. Burnout is just very, very real, and just knowing when I know when it's about to happen. So I'm like, it's time for a movie day. It's just time to watch movies, and eat some popcorn. Like sometimes when you can feel it and you're irritable and you just don't feel like doing anything, take a pause and just, get some wings and a couple of beverages and like just max out and then just live to see another day. Right. Yeah. And I think that piece of it is really important. So yeah, we definitely just kind of reiterate that to our audience.
I bet you got a spa somewhere where it has your face in the wall, like best customer of the month. And it's just like, here come Regina again.
Book my same person, book my same place, book my same time.
Like,
yep.
You were late. I thought you were going to text me earlier. You're like,
right.
I'm busy.
Right. I'm on the way. Just hold my spot. I'll be there shortly. Yes, for sure.
Well, look, there's a bunch of questions, but before I get into them, because I was going to save a little bit more time, but it seems like people want to know like what you got to say. So before I jump into that, like you are an extremely busy person. Like you were telling me a little bit about like just like all the different events you have weekly. Like you are booked and busy for 2023. So like how do you be staying organized? Like you do it all.
Well, listen, I mean, I am busy. I am not going to I'm not going to lie about that. I live off of, well, first of all, right now I have a newborn. So, I'm not getting that much sleep, but eventually when I am sleeping more, I would say getting sleep is the most important thing. I'm regularly in the bed before midnight. So for those, and if you need less sleep, that's more power to you. But just don't underestimate the power of like a good night's rest. That I think it really helps me power through. Same for, I exercise, I hit Peloton every day, drink a lot of water, just like from a health perspective. I think making sure your body is in its best shape possible allows me to get a lot more done for sure. And then, just having all your tech tools, my Google Keep, that, helps me with all of my to-dos. I live on Slack for, productivity for our teams. And then, I definitely am connected to my phone a lot in terms of just managing my calendar and also getting help. Like, let me tell you, like, I don't do this by myself. I've got a great team. I've got a great admin that helps, organize my life. And, she is really, really critical for me to manage multiple projects at the same time. So, finding that right person. I've actually gone through a few admins and just finding the right one that worked with me was really, really important so that I can maximize my time versus delegating the things that I know that someone else could do and, that I don't have to do.
Yeah. I mean, look, you ain't going, I think we are aligned because clarity comes from good night's sleep.
Sleep.
I mean, you are doing it all right now. So you got a couple more months till, your son can hold his head up, like, sit up on his own. But yeah, likewise. I also have this to-do list. I have like this, I make daily like scratch pieces of papers with to-dos.
Okay.
I'm like, this is like my blinders. Like, this is like like my priority. It's like 4 things. Like, don't even look left or right until you get these 4 out the way, and then we can.
Yep.
So thank you for that beautiful answer. Okay, so there's a couple questions. I'll start from the top up since this was the earliest one. Cassandra Ferguson asks, do you have any suggestions for women over 50 building their first app? Any book recommendations on apps in coding?
Recommendations for women over 50. I would say I think the first step is to get started. So it sounds like, being here, you've already gotten started. So the advice I tell everyone is just to start, and kind of, don't necessarily overthink it. Get something out there. Like I said, the first iteration of Trust Noir was a landing page. It was www.trustnoir.com, and it said, "Hi, are you interested in this, that, and the third?" And then it had like our Instagram or something. Like I think, we have this idea of like this perfect product, and that idea in your head is not getting any traction in the real world because it's still in your head. So, simplifying the product and making sure that you have, because what you're really looking for in the very beginning is product market fit, right? So, do you actually have a product that people will buy, and are you in a market where a lot of people will buy that thing? That is really what you're testing in the very beginning when you're launching an app. And so, I would say for women over 50 or for anyone, looking to start that very first iteration of your product, keep it simple, stupid, like keep it real simple, but making sure that it's focused on, solving the actual problem that you want your startup to focus on. Books for coding and apps, I'll defer to Jordan on that. I think I'm not a technical founder, so I would definitely focus on. I would let Jordan or one of the other folks on the tech team give some recommendations.
Yeah, I would say don't defer to me, because like we said, tech it has all types of people. I am not a technical person. I work in tech and marketing. But I would love, Cassandra, one, I would love to know what your app is, because I'm so fascinated. And two, you could always email us at hello@SkillCrush. You'll reach our team directly with someone more knowledgeable in coding than myself, and they will probably have some wonderful recommendations. I'm going to move on to, and thank you for that question, Cassandra. To Tatarans, is Black Women Talk Tech doing anything in the NFT space? This is something I'm ready to move on as an artist creative, and I'd love to find community on that.
Cool. So we had a crypto corner at our conference last year. So it was a whole day of content focused on blockchain, NFTs, understanding like what is cryptocurrency. So yes, short answer is yes. We do have members of our community working on the NFT, projects, as well as just blockchain in and of itself. We are, as you all know, clearly, lots of crypto in the news as of late. Sam Bankman-Fried, he, clearly is under indictment for all of his fraudulent dealings. And it's hurt the crypto industry, quite a bit. We think that regulation could very well be, in the future. I won't say near future, but now is still the time to get in and to learn and to try to be prepared for any changes in the space that could be coming up. So, I definitely think, if you're interested in NFTs, if you're interested in that market, like definitely go for it. And if you're not in Clubhouse, I know that Clubhouse had its like heyday, I guess a couple of years ago. But even last year, there were still, quite a few chats that were happening around NFTs and crypto. So I think follow like Crypto Babes, I think it is Crypto Babes, Babes. And there were through Crypto Babes, there were some other NFT profiles that were having like active conversations about it.
I was seeing if they had a website. It doesn't look like. I'd have to look it up later. But Crypto Base.
Yeah. They were on our stage, and I don't know if our agenda is up from last year, because that's also what I would look at, but let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Our agenda is not up anymore from last year, so that makes sense.
No worries. Well, I'll be sending out an email to everyone after the webinar ends, follow up where you can find Regina, where you can find Black Women Talk Tech, Roadmap to Billions. So if you were looking for the link, I could always send it and the roundup afterwards, and also the agenda and everything to expect from Regina. There is another question from Mignon. How can you know if you are helping to make a company money? Do they ever pretend like you're not that meaningful, hoping that you don't move on to another company? I'm not sure about the second part of that question. Mignon, is there another way to put that? Or do you understand, Regina?
I guess if you, I'm thinking that maybe, in the literal sense, the company is not going to tell you, oh, your marketing efforts helped sell. Well, no, I'll take that back. Some companies do allow there are companies where, and some roles where you can know like how many units were sold based off of your marketing efforts, or how many units were sold based off of an improvement to a product that that you helped engineer, right? So and a different way to look at it is also any publicly traded company, you can pull their K1, which is their company prospectus that they're required to publish every year, in order to like tell stockholders what's happening within the company. So any company publicly traded company prospectus will tell you like what the revenue was for the year. Was it an increase? Was it a decrease? And from what division and what product? So that's kind of like broad strokes, like, are you adding value? But there's nothing to also preclude you just from asking. So, if your boss doesn't know, they should. And if their boss's boss doesn't know, they should. So there should be someone that is tracking, the financial progress of the company, and should be able to share, especially if it's publicly traded. If it's privately owned, maybe there could be a different way to approach it. But if there isn't that level of transparency, I think that the other alternative would be to anecdotally, are you seeing engagement online? Are you seeing new accounts being added to the company? Are they closing new deals? Are they closing bigger deals? And is that in line with a new product update that was released that you worked on? Or is it related to a new marketing strategy, a new sales approach that you were a part of creating? Then there can be a through line there. But they're not going to necessarily make it easy to tell you whether or not you're directly adding value, but I think there's some ways to infer.
Well, you answered that much better than I was, because I was like, I would just ask. I don't know how to look at it. I'd be like, what's it look like, boss?
Right. What's it looking like?
Like,
We good?
We good?
No? All right.
yeah, obviously you literally work with money. You literally you work with billions of dollars. Like I don't even see the word B. Like I don't even see the word M. It's like mills, bills. Like I'm just trying to make a couple hundred.
Bills and
So
bills.
yeah, like so. Obviously, our time is up. We have like a minute or two left. So we talked a lot about taking risk, pursuing your dreams. Why now is the time? Like before you like go our separate ways. And is there anything else that you wanted to add to the conversation about about being in tech, being Black women in tech?
Um, no, I mean, I think I've enjoyed just
Me
talking.
too. Me too.
We're just talking. We're just chopping it up. I think it's so important to remind everyone that, you know, that we're again, like I said, like we're here for a reason. So, it's important to live up to like our potential. And we're no one's here to think small and play small. I come to win, period. Like if you're not coming to win, what are we here for?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to come with that mentality, that Mamba mentality, that Jordan mentality, because if you aren't, somebody else will. The
Yeah.
end. Like, do you want this job or not? Do you want this hustle or not? Because if you don't, I promise you, 10 other people will. Do you want this money or not? If you don't, 10 other people will.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a unique place for everyone. As you guys know, tech's for everyone. So that concludes our time. It's so rare that we get to talk with someone. Like I get to talk to someone as renowned as you, Regina. So
Oh my goodness.
like I will gas
Thank
you up
you, Jordan.
in the chat because you are incredible. This has felt so effortless. Thank everyone for attending. And yeah, I hope everyone has a good day. If you have any questions, you can always follow us at Skill Crush or just email us at hello at skillcrush.com. All right. Well,
and follow us at follow Black Women Talk Tech on Instagram. So Black
yes.
Women Talk Tech on Instagram. Roadmaptobillions.co is the website where you can definitely buy a ticket. Early bird tickets are on sale now. We will be announcing our applications for our pitch competition. So we will be giving out $20,000 for our pitch competition for the best founders startup. And our investor reception will be that evening, where again, we'll be connecting founders to funding. So definitely check it out. Let us know how we can be helpful. Follow us, throw some comments in one of the posts. Someone always responds to the posts there. So blackwomentalktech.com and Black Women Talk Tech on Instagram.
I'll be sending that out to everybody too. So definitely tap in. And thank you guys again for joining. All right. We'll talk soon. All right. All right. Have a good one, y'all.